Hello, and welcome back. It's been a while. In fact, it's been since the beginning of the semester since I did one of these live streams. But this one is going to be a short one. I say that a lot, but I mean it this time. And it's all about learning your scales. Now, a lot of you probably already know all your scales, but then you need to maintain them. And some of you probably don't quite know all the scales that you want. And there are a lot of scales, right? If you ask some people, there are 12 major scales. If you ask other people, there are 24 scales, 12 major and 12 minor scales, right? But which one of the minors? Because there's 3 minors. So then if you ask a different person, there are 48 scales, right? There's one major for every starting note, and then there's 3 minors, melodic, harmonic, and natural minor. And you could say that natural minor and major are the same, just one is starting in a different place. And that's true too, but that doesn't make it any easier really to play them, right, from scratch. So what is going to make them easier? Well, as the title suggests, these 9 weird scales, and they will sound a little bit weird to a lot of you, they are the component parts of almost every scale you're going to want to play. Now, if you ask the Slonimsky book, which is the thesaurus of scales, there are thousands of scales, and that includes extrapolations and interpolations and other kinds of ways to scales that don't divide just an octave but 2 octaves. So we're not going to talk about that today, but it's still going to help you with those things. But this will help you with your normal 48 scales plus all of the modes plus all of the minor and minor modes. So that's a lot of stuff. So let's see, where do we start? Well, we're going to play, like I said, 9 scales. What are those? We're going to play 2 whole tone scales because there are only 2. Right? And so let me demonstrate those. And that's it, because then when you get to D, if you transposed it one more time, well, you've transposed back to the first one, because C to D to E is the same as D to E to F sharp, right? So okay, so those are 2. Then we're going to do the octatonic scales. There are 3 of these. This is either half step, whole step, or whole step, half step. And so, and it's easy to get confused. And actually, let me start putting these on the screen. So you can see here, that was the whole tone scale, right? And then this next one is half step, whole step, octatonic, or otherwise known as diminished scale, right? So if you play those, now you can play both of the ones that start on C, and then you only have one left over, but that can be confusing. So what I suggest you do instead is transpose this one, whoops, this one there. Oh, it's hard to, oh, it's a little behind, I see. This one there, transpose that one, up a half step, and then up a half step again, and you'll get all 3 of them, right? Because they won't overlap. Well, no, that might not be true. Let's see. No, that is true. Yeah, so let's do that right now, okay? And as you can see, that gets us every version of that before it loops back on itself. If I start off again on E flat with a half step, then I'm going to have the one that's already written up there, right? All right, so now let's see if I can scroll over to, now this is going to be the most sort of exotic sounding probably to most of you, and there are 4 of these hexatonic scales, otherwise known as the augmented scale. Why? Because there are 2 augmented triads within it that are a half step apart. So it's a half step and a minor third, and just repeating back and forth. And so if you want to try to figure out how many of these scales there are ever, you just, however many half steps there are before the intervals loop back on themselves, that's how many there are. So if you go from C, right, up to C sharp, and then D, E flat, E, that's 4 half steps before I get back to the lower of the 2, if that makes sense. You can see it there. So let's play all 4 of these. And again, I suggest just transposing them up a half step, up a half step, up a half step, up a half step, until you get all 4. almost messed that one up. Okay, so now why is that all the scales I need? That's only 9 scales, right? 2 whole tone, 3 octatonic, and 4 hexatonic. Why is that all I need? Well, if you look up here at, let's find these are the modes, but if we look at the Ionian one there in the center of the screen, that's a major scale, right? So what is it made out of? Well, we all know the answer. If you've taken any kind of little bit of music theory, you know that the way that we construct an Ionian scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Well, what have we played so far? Oh, I left out a scale. I'm so sorry. It's actually 10 weird scales, but the last one isn't weird, and that's the chromatic scale, right? We've played lots of half steps, but it's useful to just add this one in. So let's play one chromatic scale before we go on. Right, and when you can get it really fast, that means any half step is completely known to you. So okay, now we've done all half steps, all whole steps, half step, whole step alternating, right, which is what we're going to use most of the time, and half step minor third, or otherwise known as augmented second, depending on how it's written, alternating, right? So why are those the ones? Well, we don't even need the hexatonic scale, even though that's most of them. So you can actually just practice the first 5 for all your major and natural minor scales, right? And even melodic minor, right? But, okay, so why? The major scale is whole step, half step. Well, I've played whole step before in the whole tone scale. I've played whole step, half step before in the octatonic scale. And then I go whole step, whole step, whole step. Well, that's just more of the whole tone scale. And then the whole step, half step again at the end of that is going to be octatonic again, right? So if I know all of these scales, and I didn't write them all out in every key for a reason, you should play them by ear. They're the same intervals repeating over and over again, back and forth, or sometimes just the same singular interval, right, for chromatic and whole tone. You need to learn those by ear. That way, when you start on a note, let's say I want to play my B major scale. Okay, well, a lot of people find that really hard because they're trying to remember all 5 sharps and where they go. But I don't have to know the sharps. I just have to know that it starts on B and it sounds like whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, right? And that's a lot easier to hear than it is to say, trust me. So let's try that. And I'm just going to use my knowledge of the whole tone scale and the octatonic or chromatic scale to play the intervals that I know I need to play. So now if I also played all of those things in thirds, in other words, alternating, like going up 1 and back 1, up 2 and back 1, up 2 and back 1, then I could also play all my different scale elements in thirds, and that would be a good thing to do. But okay, now we haven't included hexatonic yet. That would get all my major scales. It would also get all my natural minors because they're a mode of major scales. If you don't believe me, just look at the whole steps and half steps in there. They're just shifted by 2, right? So why do we need hexatonic? Well, because unfortunately we play harmonic minor a lot, and harmonic minor has an augmented second at the end, right? It has that weird interval. But if we play hexatonic scales a lot, then I'm really familiar with that interval. I've played it a lot, and my ear knows and my fingers know how to play that sound. So let's try, I don't know, a B flat. Hopefully that's not too hard. B flat harmonic minor. And we'll see that it's just going to be whole steps and half steps until I get near the end where I need to raise that 7th, and then it's going to be part of the hexatonic scale right there. Right, so really not too hard. I played the hexatonic scale for a while in the middle of that, and then I went back down in harmonic minor. So now what about melodic minor? Well, melodic minor is just part of an octatonic scale, right? Whole step, half step, whole step, and then it's part of a whole tone scale, right? And this is a really important thing if you play jazz, because when we play altered chords, we often want to play the half a step higher melodic minor scale, because it contains the right part of a whole tone scale and the right part of a diminished scale. And so let's do that on, I guess I'll do it on, I'll just keep going down. I'll do it on A. That'll be easy, right? Now, of course, you might know that melodic minor usually goes to natural minor on the way down, but for my purposes, I'm interested in learning the sort of the different tones of these scales so that if I did use it in a jazz context, I would use it both ways, right? But it's just as easy to make everything natural minor on the way down. I just have to hear it. So let's try that. And as you might be able to hear, that's just our C major scale on the way down, and then I just keep going all the way down to low A. So that's it for this video. I didn't show you the harmonic minor. I guess I can quickly, and that is here, I think. Oh, I didn't get it. Now these are the minor modes, and you can see up there we played melodic and harmonic minor. And then you can shift those as well in the same way that you would do the modes. But this isn't about modes, so let's go back to the main scene. And I just want to say thank you for watching the video. I hope that you learned something. I hope this helps you play all of your major scales, all of your minor scales, all of your modes, everything that you want to play. If you know these weird, I guess 10 weird scales, then you will, by ear, then you'll know how to play every sound that you need to play pretty much just kind of by feel, if that makes sense, by ear and by feel. And it should make it pretty quick work of at least the main 48, if not a whole bunch of others. So anyway, see you next time. I'm going to do a lot of videos this week because I'm on spring break, and my girlfriend still has work. So hopefully I'll try to do a couple more videos during the week about being on break and what you might want to do and other things like that. So if you have suggestions, please email me or put it in the comments, and hopefully I'll see it before the next video. All right. See you later.